I am yelling a lot in this video. Stop making bad movies. It makes my throat hurt. Hey everybody, Matt here. As I promised, I'm back again with a look at what I believe to be the worst movies of 2019. Now, in addition to sharing with you my worst movies of 2019, I'm also going to do a little bit about what I like to call like my biggest disappointments of the year, which I got a feeling one of them is really going to shake the tree a little bit. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with shaking things up. But the only way that things can get shaken up is if you guys participate within that. So, as I say all the time, please like, share, subscribe. A disclaimer before we go into this, and I believe I said the same exact thing when I was talking about my worst movies of 2018. I don't want a movie to fail. I want to see movies that are great, and I want to see every movie succeed. But I know that's not the case. Sometimes, be it in post-production, be it with, a script being written as the movie is happening, these films hit setbacks, and they just don't turn out great, and the studio has to release them or they're going to lose so much money. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm not putting anybody down here. I'm just trying to warn you guys not to see these movies because I paid money to see them and I don't want you to make the same mistake. So like I said, with my best movies of 2019, I haven't seen every movie there is. Although I do tend to ignore critic reviews. Sometimes I will take them to heart and try to save my money where I can. Some of the movies that were very poorly reviewed that I did not get a chance to see this year. Countdown, the horror movie based around an app. Yeah, okay. Serenity, this monumental flop starring Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. I didn't see Serenity, but I read about it, and that was more than enough. Oh my gosh, you have to read it. It's just the most ridiculous thing you have ever heard of being put into a movie. I also did not see the John Cena-led family comedy Playing with Fire because, no. I didn't see the Hellboy remake, which I kind of wanted to see because I really liked the source material and I really love David Harbour, but I heard it was awful, so I steered clear. And the other one that I purposely avoided seeing was Ugly Dolls because Pitbull was in it, and no way. So before I get into my worst movies of 2019, I do want to talk about two films in particular, which I label as the biggest disappointments of the year. Movies I was looking forward to, movies I heard relatively good things about, and then ended up kind of leaving me a little cold. And the funny thing is, I saw these movies back to back in the same day. The first one is Terminator Dark Fate. Critics were labeling this as the best Terminator movie since Terminator 2. That is not a hard feat to accomplish because you had Terminator 3, which was highly mediocre. You had Terminator Salvation, which was dreadful. And then you had Terminator Genesis, which I thought was unfairly destroyed, but still not very good. So Dark Fate, the big deal with this is that they brought Linda Hamilton back, and it was cool seeing Linda Hamilton back. And of course, it's always cool seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger because I love Arnold Schwarzenegger in anything. But the problem is the movie is the same plot that was Terminator 1, that was Terminator 2. It did nothing different. It transplanted some new girl in the Sarah Connor role, and then there was a good Terminator, a bad Terminator. It's just the same thing. Like, the movie was well made. The action set pieces were really cool. But, it's just all the same beats. And this is not the way to save a franchise, guys. You can't save a franchise by doing the same exact thing. So, although it is a very well-made, competent film, I'm sick of seeing the same thing. So, Terminator Dark Fate, a big disappointment. So, my other big disappointment in 2019... and this is controversial because I know a lot of people love this movie, is Jojo Rabbit. Let me get a few things out of the way first. I think Taika Waititi is hilarious. If you have not seen What We Do in the Shadows, I really implore you to check that movie out. It is drop dead hilarious. And I will also give huge praise to Roman Griffin Davis. He was the star of this movie, the young child star of this movie. One of the best child performances I have seen in a long time. The movie has a very, very difficult task in trying to balance humor and drama in such a very, very serious time period during the end of World War II. Some of the humor that it asks us to laugh at, I could not laugh at. I just felt very uncomfortable, and I just didn't feel right laughing at it, and it just didn't work for me. Now, the dramatic end of things actually worked a little bit better for me. Scarlett Johansson particularly was excellent, especially from a dramatic standpoint in this film. So the meshing of that controversial humor and the really heavy dramatic elements did not work for me. Especially the humor that I personally just could not laugh at and did not find funny. I'm sorry, Jojo Rabbit was a huge disappointment. Alright, so let's get to what I consider the worst movies of 2019. Now, these are not in any order with the exception of the last one, because the last one I'm going to talk about is indeed what I believe to be the worst movie of 2019. First one I'm going to talk about, Rambo Last Blood. Now, the very first Rambo movie, entitled First Blood, you see what they did there, is a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. It's a real story about a Vietnam veteran suffering from PTSD and being harassed by this small town sheriff and being pursued by his police force. Every other Rambo movie since has just been about bloodbath. If that's your thing, then more power to you, okay? I don't know what they were doing with Last Blood. I think they were trying to incorporate that PTSD element again. Very unsuccessful, because it just ended up being plotting melodrama with Sylvester Stallone mumbling his way through the part. And then the last half hour was just complete and utter extreme gore. Characters come and go through this movie. You don't give a crap about any of them. It's just a mess, and it's boring, and not even enough to satiate fans. So stay away from Last Blood. Next is a movie that is pretty much on everybody's worst list this year, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Now, I didn't hate this movie as much as most people did, but I will tell you I really didn't like it. From a directing standpoint, it falls flat. You have long-term X-Men writer Simon Kinberg making his directorial debut, and it shows he has really no vision and how to create these action set pieces, so everything kind of just falls real flat. You got Jennifer Lawrence literally phoning in a performance. She clearly doesn't want to be there. You get the great James McAvoy and the great Michael Fassbender just doing what they can with this mess of a film. It's boring, it's meandering, is a really sad conclusion to what had been such a promising start with X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past. But, it's bad when I say Apocalypse is better than this, and Apocalypse was crap. Next up is one of the most forgettable animated features I saw this year, Angry Birds 2. The big issue here is nobody gives a crap about Angry Birds anymore. Yeah, the game's still fun and all that, but, it is not the fad that it was 5 and 6 years ago. And unfortunately, computer animated movies take a long time to make, and I think by the time this got to the drawing board, everybody's like, hey man, Angry Birds is still a thing. Now we're 4 or 5 years on, and we're like, yeah, nobody cares about Angry Birds anymore. The first Angry Birds movie was nothing great. This is less than that. I don't think I fell asleep, but I really am stretching to recall anything about it. So, yeah, you don't need to rush out and check out Angry Birds 2, because obviously you're going to forget everything about it after you watch it. Next on the list, one of the highest grossing films of the year, but also one of the most soulless film experiments in a long time. I am talking about Jon Favreau's The Lion King. The Lion King from 1994 is one of my favorite animated films. I actually probably would call it my favorite Disney animated film. So why would you be... Let me rephrase that. I know why you're making this is to make more money. And congratulations, you've succeeded. But there is nothing that makes this any better than the original. There is nothing that even comes close to being better than the original. The biggest problem, like you're doing photorealistic animals, animals don't emote. Lions can't smile and, they can't smile and raise their eyebrows and show the difference between grief and joy and apathy. All right, you can't do it. Birds can't emote. Holy crap, that bird, you want us to believe the bird is like stressed out or upset. The bird just the whole time. There's no emotion. Animals can't emote. Real animals can't emote. And you're asking for so much in this movie. And you can't give it to us because animals can't emote. Whew! I'm never going to watch this again. I have no reason to watch this movie again because I can just go back and watch the 1994 version. Far superior in every aspect. Whatever. Lion King. So here's a controversial pick because I know that a lot of people love this movie. Ad Astra was the astronaut space sci-fi thriller starring Brad Pitt. Lots of potential here. It was a really beautiful looking film, that's for sure. The director, I don't know, he thought he was making an absolute masterpiece and he really kind of just made it for himself. It had all these lofty ideas, but instead of letting you figure it out, like the director was so intent on showing and telling you exactly what he felt and you had to agree with him. So you didn't really have any room for independent thought. And it's a real shame because there's a lot of room there to think about some of the themes this movie throws at you. But he just wanted you to think exactly what he thought. Not a fan. I kind of think of it as the exact opposite of the movie I spoke about on my last video, The Lighthouse, which gave you all these elements and then said, think about how all of these play together. Ad Astra gave you all these elements, and then the director said, watch me as I tell you what you should think. All right, so now we have come to what I believe to be the worst movie of 2019, and it is Men in Black International. Wow, this is a steaming pile of dog crap. There is so much potential in this movie that just fell flat on its face, man. You got that great comedic chemistry between Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth from Thor Ragnarok that they do nothing in this movie. You got Liam Neeson, legendary Liam Neeson, thrown to the sidelines. You got Emma Thompson, who's an afterthought. You have Kumail Nanjiani as some little dude that has no purpose in this movie but to be comic relief. The first Men in Black is a classic. I really like the third one. Second one stunk. This could have been a great revival for this series. It's not necessarily a reboot. It still takes place in the same universe. There were so many different things that they could do here. But again, this is a movie that was plagued by script problems, set problems. I think like the director walked off. And I can see why. I can see why he'd be so frustrated with just the mess that this movie ended up being. And I will tell you flat out, I fell asleep during this movie. I was in like the second row in a movie tavern with food in front of me, and I fell asleep. That is a testament to how bad this movie is. So the worst movie of 2019, Men in Black International. All right, everyone, so that sums up my worst movies of 2019. What do you think? Do you disagree with some of my choices? Specifically Jojo Rabbit, I guarantee some of you guys will disagree with that. Are there some that I missed? Are there some that I should have seen that I could, sit there and cry to myself that I just wasted $15 watching this movie? Let me know in the comments, all right? Discussion is healthy. And always remember, you're allowed to like movies. If you like one of these movies that I, put on my worst list, let me know, okay? You're allowed to like a movie. This conversation, this discussion is what makes it fun. What makes it fun for me as well and for you. All right, I will be back soon, guys, and we will be talking about the upcoming Academy Awards. I hope to make a ton of videos and hope to follow through this year through the actual ceremony itself. and then do a recap, but I got a lot to talk about. Like, the nominations are out now. Some interesting choices and some really glaring omissions. Again, that's going to be talked about on my next series of videos, okay? As always, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Come and watch, learn something new about these movies that I'm talking about. Or just, enjoy my charming personality. So thank you again. And until next video, this is Mac saying I am out.